You guys, I think you all know as well as I do that if there's one team that had the definition of a hectic 2022 offseason, for better or for worse, it would undoubtedly be the Boston Celtics. Because after the big-time acquisition of Malcolm Brogdon, who has slid into a role that might now make him one of the better sixth-mans across the entire league, but then, of course, on the other hand, you have the recent timeline of injuries the Celtics have had to endure, and on top of that, the entire coaching fiasco, which I'm sure I don't need to go into any further detail about. Nonetheless though, with Boston continuing to be the talk of the league for the majority of this time period, it's kind of funny considering how very few people are actually talking about them now, or at least as much as they should be. Because, well, to the surprise of almost everyone, I would say, with all things considered, the Celtics currently sit as the top team across the entire league. And with their success, what they've been able to add to the mix this season compared to what we've seen out of this team in prior years, I'll just say most people might not have been expecting to see it this early, so let's get into it. One sec though guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to drop a like on the video if you enjoy, and subscribe to never miss another NBA video. But before we go any further, today's video is brought to you by our friends at Manscaped. With Manscaped being, in my opinion, the top global brand for men's grooming, they sent me over some stuff from their Performance Package 4.0 that have honestly just blown me away. To start, we have their 4th generation electric and waterproof trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0, which with advanced skin-safe technology works to eliminate all the cuts that you're used to when using other trimmers. And it even has a cordless charging system with LED lights to show you how much battery you have left at all times. And even with some of their other products like their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and their Crop Reviver Ball Toner to always keep me feeling refreshed, they also have their Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer to literally have me covered from head to toe. And after giving me an amazing deal like this, they want to do the same for you guys. Because if you use code HoopsDigest at checkout, they will hook you guys up with 2 free gifts, 20% off your order, and even free international shipping. Again, that is code HoopsDigest at checkout to get yourself using the right products for the job with Manscaped. Now to get back on topic with the Boston Celtics. Once again, concerning their record, if you were one of the few that fully anticipated them to be here this early, with both the absence of their defensive anchor and the short notice implementation of a new head coach, while I won't call you a liar, I just don't think many people were in the same mind of thinking as you. And of course, a big portion of the early success seen from Boston this year can absolutely testify to the improved play that's been seen out of both Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, which, if they keep up the pace they're at, are set to put up some of the best numbers we've seen from them in their entire careers so far. But trust me, even though the output seen on this side of the court from these guys might be to a level that we've never seen from them, it's still not what's setting this team apart from the rest. Because as most of you probably know, if there's been an outlier for any of the Celtics teams over the last couple of years, it would undoubtedly be their defense, and the numbers definitely show this. However, this year, and again to mention the absence of Timelord as we rightfully should, the defensive efforts of the Boston Celtics have almost completely taken a 180 turn. And of course, while there's no reason to think these efforts won't continually improve as the weeks go on, it's just insane to look at this team from last season and see how they were defied by their historic defense. And now this season, again, if they keep up the pace they're at, they could end up being one of the most historic offenses we have seen in NBA history. And no, that is not a joke, because the numbers will also tell you that right alongside me. But aside from JT and JB, some of you are probably wondering what has changed so drastically this season compared to last. I mean, sure, you can look at Brogdon, who's been stellar in the majority of games he's played for the Celtics so far. Your other starters like Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and Derrick White are just continuing to show how tremendous of a contribution they can bring to your all-star duo. But above everything else, and I know we're still just a short way into this season, this Celtics team could very well end up becoming the best perimeter shooting team that we have ever seen in NBA history. Now, I'm also sure that immediately after hearing that, some of you might think that is one of the craziest stretches you've ever heard someone like myself make, especially considering right now as a team, the Celtics only have the 3rd highest three-point percentage out of any team in the NBA. But the caveat to that is that the only 2 teams that are shooting a better percentage than the Celtics so far this season are on average shooting a ridiculous 10 less threes than the Celtics are per game, which again, I cannot put it any simpler simpler than the fact that we have never seen what the Celtics are currently doing, which in fact, according to my research, there has never been a team in NBA history that is attempting more than 40 threes per game as the Celtics are right now, and somehow being able to knock down over 39% of those attempts. And there's actually only been a handful of teams that have attempted more than 40 threes per game in NBA history, and a majority of those teams were the James Harden Houston Rockets a couple years back. But again, the thing is, they were never close to the efficiency that Boston's currently showing. And I also know that some people watching will probably make the fair point that what Boston's doing right now is very likely not going to be sustainable over an 82-game span, and how if the Celtics are seeming to choose to live and die by the three this year, that ultimately it will not end up working out in their favor, as history has shown us with teams trying to do this in the past. But the thing about this team is that even though, yes, they are currently taking a ridiculous amount of threes, I don't think you can ever say they are going to quote-unquote live and die by it. But instead, they've just been able to continue to show the rest of the league so far this year that while this has always been somewhat of a threat with the Celtics offense, that it's now bigger and better than it ever has been. And I say this because of the ridiculous increased production that we've seen out of some of the Celtics guys aside from their top 2 to 3 players. Because just for quick reference, with some guys already mentioned like Al Horford and Derrick White, you also have guys like Grant Williams and even Sam Hauser and Payton Pritchard, who, to say they've been putting up ridiculous and career-high shooting numbers from deep for the Celtics this season, would be a massive understatement. And as most of you probably also know, it's not like with any of these guys mentioned that are contributing so heavily to the Celtics' success from deep are not exactly considered to be ISO ball players, but instead with what could be considered the most underrated and improved aspect of the Celtics offense this season. The biggest way they're able to consistently put up these kind of numbers is due to the fact of their high-level ball movement. Because for the Celtics, who take borderline the most catch-and-shoot three-point attempts per game out of anyone in the league, they're also somehow putting up the third highest make percentage in this category as well, even with that high of a volume. And sure, while some of these guys could probably be considered in the top tier of some of the best catch-and-shoot players in the league, it also definitely helps, and watching almost any Celtics game this year would undeniably show you this, but a very large amount of these catch-and-shoot opportunities for the Celtics have literally been wide open thanks again to the operation of the offense. And once again, is it sustainable? Time will only tell. But even though it does contain some of the same players from last year, the seemingly refreshed second unit and the production that's been seen from them, not even just referring to their ridiculous shooting, but also their off-ball mechanics and even improved defense this year, is definitely something that I will say the Celtics could not rely on at times last season, especially through their playoff run. That this year, again, if the offense is able to continue to thrive in the fashion that they have, could ultimately end up being one of, if not the biggest reasons we might see Boston walk away with the championship at the end of the season. But of course, and especially with what we're talking about today, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Nonetheless though, you guys, with everything that we've mentioned so far regarding the Boston Celtics this year, I'm also extremely curious to hear what you have to think of them. So please be sure to let me know in the comments, what is the biggest difference you've seen so far in the Celtics team this season compared to last? Also, if you had to, give me a prediction for the final record of the Celtics ending the 2023 season and how far you have them making it in the postseason. Again though, you guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to drop a like on the video down below if you enjoy, and of course, subscribe while you're down there. We're going to continue to be coming out with brand new NBA content every single week around here, so just trust me, you don't want to miss it. But also, I just wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you out there for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything, you all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.